Hello, welcome to The Story Pilgrim, episode 46, Mile Oak, Home Truths. Now, my name is Darren, and if this is your first time here, where have you been? I like to walk a lot. Sometimes it's across a country, sometimes it's just across the street. I talk while I walk about life, people, meaning, purpose, whatever is on my mind at the time. Now, if you are enjoying The Story Pilgrim, whether you have been here since the start or you've just stumbled across us, I'd like you to do me a favour. Subscribe, please, wherever you are listening or watching. And if you are already a subscriber, here is your pilgrim task for the month, week, year. Share this episode with just one person, a fellow wanderer, a friend who might need a quiet walk through big thoughts. Much appreciated. Now, this week's episode is a little bit different. It's not a big adventure. There's no guest. There's very rarely a guest, but sometimes there are guests. It's just a local walk from my front door here in Mile Oak. That's where I live now, yeah. I've got a mortgage, I've got a dog, I've got a compost bin, I've got it all. Yeah, it's a far cry from the Camino, but don't be fooled. Truth does show up in small places too. Now, during this walk, I will be reading quotes and passages from people who are far cleverer than me. Plato, Freddie Mercury, Winnie the Pooh, Slavoj Žižek, and I'm going to try and not trip over my thoughts as I go. So, that's the preamble. Let's lace up the boots, let's put the microphone in hand and get started. Hello! Well, a little bit of a different episode today. You probably already gathered that. But behind me is the street that I live on. Now, as I've been doing The Story Pilgrim, I've been asking a lot of big questions. I have been travelling all over the world, but I thought today we might give a little bit more of an in-depth into where I am in life and what is happening. Now, if I just go this way, you are going to see that literally 30 seconds outside of my house I have this and much more. I'm very, very lucky in where we've ended up. So this episode really is about where I'm at, really. I'm always proposing those big questions, and I think as I get older, the questions seem to get smaller because life gets bigger. This is a little area here. You can see some houses through there. That's my house. My house is right there, and I have all this right back here. There's a fox's den in here. So the foxes are out there all the time, see them all the time. Things that I'm going to talk about is that house there. I've got a mortgage. I've just adopted a dog. So I'm doing these adulting things that I realised, and one of my friends, very good friends, pointed out that, I don't really talk about that. And is that wrong? I initially go, it's because I'm protecting that, but I don't think it is wrong or right what I talk about. So we're going to go walk around the back here. We're coming through, and we're going to come onto an area called the Rise, which is just a public area here. We're going to wander around the Rise. We're also going to go through here, if we come through, and there we have a lovely farmer's field, very popular for walking dogs, and lots of fields, and down there you should just be able to see on the horizon the English Channel, the sea down there. So we're going to wander around, see what we got, and talk about a few things that have influenced me and that I love in life, that have kept me on the path that I am on. We're coming up to one of my dog is called Todd. Todd's favourite places to come up to. He loves to come up here and just stand at this gate and look at the view. There are a couple of horses that are in this field. They're not in there at the moment, obviously. They're around the corner, I think. But you can see down there is Mile Oak, some of those houses there, and we're going down to there's a tower over there. I think I've got, is it Forerunner Tower? Is it? I can't remember what it's called. And Brighton is behind those trees over there. So one of the favourite views, all the buttercups out at the moment, looking absolutely stunning. But there's a lovely quote that I came across the other day. Rivers know this. There is no hurry. We shall get there someday. Do you know who said that? Anyone? Winnie the Pooh. A. Milne. I haven't read all of the Pooh stories, but those ones that I have read are absolutely delightful. And we kind of think of Winnie the Pooh as a children's story. I think it is far from a children's story. I think it is a handbook for life, for grown-ups. It really is. There's some absolutely delightful messages in that writing. That's where the horses oh, there we go. Can you see the horse behind the van? There we go. There's two of them. They just stood there. I think they're waiting for the owner to come up and let them out. It looks like the owner is in the field, just hasn't let them out yet. But yeah, Winnie the Pooh, absolutely amazing. Something that I do want to read more of. But that quote, there is no hurry. Nature, the world, kind of doesn't rush. Nature definitely doesn't rush. I know I do. I know I'm always rushing. This age of fast food and want it now, let's have it now. There is something, grounding in being able to just take it easy. And maybe it's, that comes with age, experience, life, that you realise, we can just slow down a bit. Just take it easy. And I very much have been trying to do that. And having the dog also has helped to do that. Take him out for walks, and there's moments he just stands still. Just stands there for a good 5 minutes sometimes. And you're like, come on. And he's like, no, we're just going to stand here and have a look around a bit. It can be a bit frustrating sometimes, but also there's something nice about that. So yeah, I really am trying to ground myself, because rivers do know it. We will get there someday. I may be close to home, but my mind can travel quite a long way. And it usually does. We've got lots of lovely little nooks and crannies here on the walk. There's lots of walks that we can do. Here we go through an area, that just sort of like swallows you up. Look, it's really cool, this end. And as I come down here, I loved when I did my masters looking at Aristotle, and then that put me onto Socrates. And Socrates via Plato says, the unexamined life is not worth living. as I try and think about that, I'm like, well, unexamined life, the story pilgrim, the whole point of the story pilgrim is I am examining life. I am trying to figure out what it all means. And then that sort of kind of comes along with, well, is there a fine line between reflection and overthinking? I'm always talking about that, about being curious, and, all of that. I have been, like I said, and my friends said, there's this persona that I have as the story pilgrim of like trying to answer these questions and find more answers, but I am finding answers as I go along. Like I said, I have just started becoming a homeowner. That's a big thing. I own a dog. I have these responsibilities now. Here we go. You see how popular it is here. Hello. So let's go up this way. We can go various different ways around this area. It does get very busy round the back here, but also that's the nice bit, is that you have these little cut-offs and cut-throughs that you can take. But yeah, I have been selective, I know that, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I talk about sharing sacred stories on the pilgrimage through life, and just because I don't share them does not mean that they are sacred. It probably means that they are more sacred to me by not sharing them, and that's okay. You can see up here, down there's Mile Oak again, and if we were to go up in that direction, up in this area, there is a lovely little farm cafe, Mile Oak Farm Cafe, that me and Lucy have managed to get to just the once, but we are hoping in the future we're able to bring Todd up this way and we can walk all the way up to the farm shop. Let's go this way and get they got some good stuff, and for the area it's relatively cheap. It's always a bonus. The more I am out here and walking around, it's really interesting seeing the different personality of dogs and of owners, and how they are going through life, or they are going, the owners taking the responsibility or not of being a dog owner, and how that all ties in. It's really quite interesting, and the fact that you are both walking a dog sometimes does open up the chance for a little chat, whereas if you're out walking on your own, people tend to just sort of like ignore each other. So really interesting how that social interaction happens or doesn't, just because of the fact that you have this beast with you. Right, we've come up to one of the highest points here around the back of our house. It's a lovely day today, a bit windy, but down there you can see Brighton. So right in there you can see the 360 and a couple of high rises. And then if we zoom along here, our house is just behind these trees here, so that's where we are. We come down to here, we got Shoreham, the port of Shoreham. I'll talk about that in a second. As we come around here, there's Shoreham. There's actually Shoreham, the town, is in this area here. And then we go along the south coast there, we've got Lancing, we've got Worthing. And then if we come up behind us here, we have the South Downs. So there's the South Downs going along the coast, which will take us across to Cuckmere Haven, Eastbourne, all there. So talking about Shoreham down here, Shoreham's quite interesting in that King Charles II took his boat from the port of Shoreham over to France when he went into exile, when we are talking about the beheading of King Charles I and the English Civil War started. We're talking about the Puritans and Oliver Cromwell all that time. We're back in the 1640s. He left here, and the captain of the ship that took him over came back and went, you know what, it's all getting a bit too much really, and I don't want to do this anymore, so I am going to decommission my ship and I'm going to get into the hotel business, and I'm going to build a hotel down there in Brighton using the timbers of my hotel, and I'm going to call it the Old Ship Hotel. That hotel now is one of the oldest hotels still functioning in, if not the oldest hotel functioning in Brighton, the Old Ship Hotel. And interestingly, in the basement he put a bar, and it was for a group of people called the Utarians. So it's a Utarian bar. The Utarians are what we would know today as the LGBTQI community. So that was the very first gay bar in the United Kingdom, the Utarian bar in the Old Ship Hotel, which was created by the captain who left Shoreham by taking King Charles II to his exile in France. I think it's a really cool, really fun story. I love where we live now. On a clear day, you can see a lot going on. Going for a walk, no matter how long that walk is, will always allow my mind to wander a little too. Now, I was born in 1970, so my teenage years were in the 80s, and inarguably that decade was the best decade for a lot of things, in particular music. Stunning, amazing. I grew up listening to Queen, ABBA, things like Hooked on Classics. Remember that? The Now music. You've got Spandau Ballet. You've got all of them. You know, Frankie Goes to Hollywood. You've got all these music, which just, I loved all of that, and spent many an hour just listening to music, listening to the radio, which I think I've referred to before. I don't do it that much now. I don't know why, but I don't. And so, getting back to Queen, there are many, many different what am I trying to say, songs that I could quote. Freddie Mercury was just absolutely an amazing entertainer. But I think the one song that really stands out for me is I Want to Break Free. I want to break free. Look at this little cutie. Say hello. He's got a lovely coat, hasn't he? Yeah, I want to break free. And I think with the story Pilgrim, that's what it is. I think it's more, I just want to breathe. I want to breathe easier. And I think that goes for a lot of people in life today. You just want to be who you are and don't have to make any excuses for it. I hate labels. I hate people labeling themselves. I hate people being labelled. And I think that's what the story Pilgrim kind of is kind of just saying, just tell me who you are and let's just put it out there. Real stories. That's where I get frustrated with storytelling in the UK. They tell all these fairy tales and myths, and I get that. I get the importance of it all. But also, don't be afraid to tell the story of yourself. Tell the story of what you are going through. Because it's so fascinating. It really is. Yeah. So I do want to break free. Tell you a little bit about Todd. as we're coming up to one of my favourite places to walk. It's this little piece of woodland. There's a pathway that goes through it. Here we go. We're going to come into it now. Todd, 20 months old. He was 18 months old when we met him at the Dogs Trust in Shoreham. He is a Japanese Shiba Inu. Has a bit of a story. He was found at the border when he was 6 months old with two of his siblings, two sisters. They had been coming from a puppy farm in Slovakia and were being illegally imported into the UK to be sold. They were obviously caught, so he's got a bit of history now. He's done a bit of time, so no, he was very anxious, very nervous. They all went to the Dogs Trust in Shoreham, which is just down the road there that we showed, and the other two got rented out pretty quick because they weren't as nervous as him. But he ended up being in the Dogs Trust for just over a year, or about a year. We saw him, he wasn't available when we first saw him, and then Lucy was very vigilant, she was very villainous. She was very vigilant, and she came downstairs one day and went, "He's on ramen." They called him Ramen. So we've called him Todd, after Mr. Todd from Beatrice Potter, and I think it fits really well. But we went through the process, the first meetings, all the meetings we had with him, we basically couldn't. He wouldn't allow us to touch him, he was that nervous. Now we're 3 weeks in, he'll have a snuggle on the sofa. He's very much likes being scratched and cuddled. He loves all of that. Walks are interesting in that he's very wary about other dogs. But we'll get there with him. He is very wary of cars. He'd never seen a television before, so when we pop the TV on, if he notices it, he starts barking at the people on because he thinks that they're in his house and they shouldn't be there. But he really has brought a lot of love. Not that we didn't have a lot of love in our house, but he's brought in something extra special that we are really, really happy with, and hope that he's happy that he can now have the run of the downstairs. He's got his own garden and living room, kitchen, all of that he can explore and continue to enjoy life. So we're really, really happy about having him with us. Hey, yeah, so that's Todd. Freddie Mercury, Queen, Plato, Todd. They've all had a huge influence on my life, and I love that. And I'm using that word a lot recently, love. And why not? I used to say that I'm not a very emotional person. At the end of the last episode, El Camino, you would have seen or heard a moment in my life where I just let loose. And I kind of enjoy that. I'm quite happy that I can allow myself to do that. My last episode was got to show you this bit. This bit's lovely. Look at all these bluebells. It's like a little grove, little fairies grove. It's wonderful, isn't it? My last episode was El Camino from 2017, snippets of me walking the Camino while doing the play Underneath the Lintel. That play changed my life. The Camino changed my life. All these great things. Come on. I'll let somebody through. And stays with me a heck of a lot. You're welcome. And one of the things that the librarian is saying is that play is, I am here. He is following evidence all the way around the world of I am here. etchings people have written down, "I am here." He thinks one person has wrote that, but that's another story. There was quite a few lines that we cut from the play when I did the play. One of the other lines was that we didn't have in the play was, "I have seen the evidence and it is magnificent." Words of Berger there. I have seen the evidence as I travel, as the story pilgrim travels. The evidence that I see is like this: nature, absolutely stunning. Wherever I go, I can be stood in the middle of a desert, I can be stood in the middle of an ocean, I can be stood in the middle of a forest like this, and I can tell you that nature shows me that life is magnificent and it's absolutely stunning. And I can learn a lot, and I am learning a lot from all of this. And included in that is the species that I am, the other humans that I find and I come across on my journey through life. So I can completely agree with Glenn there that yes, I am here and I have seen the evidence and it is magnificent. So lucky. I say that so many times as well. I said it in the last episode 8 years ago. I'm lucky, and I am very lucky. I based the character of the librarian on Slavoj Žižek, the philosopher, and I went to Birkbeck University where Slavo is an associate professor. Žižek doesn't hold any punches when he talks. He said, "We feel free because we lack the language to articulate our unfreedom." So that again, we feel free because we lack the language to articulate our unfreedom. That really does kind of get under my skin, that quote, because I hear, look, I'm in this lovely open field, I'm out walking, but when I do, I still carry the cages that I lock myself inside with regards to my life. And it's kind of really frustrating, but it's also kind of really liberating to be able to sort of like try and articulate that. That's what I'm trying to do with the Story Pilgrim, is articulate that unfreedom that I carry with me so that I can feel free. Žižek has some wonderful thoughts on life. It can be a bit controversial sometimes, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I really don't. Yeah, I'm just going to let that sit with you as you think about that. So I'm getting back closer to home now. It's just been a short walk, but back to the real world. This is the real world, but I'm going back to the dog, my partner Lucy, to life, the washing up, vacuuming. Yeah, there's a lot more hairs in the house now on the floor than there was before. But, as I walk around here and I take in the nature, as I think about the things that are happening in my life, as I think about the stories, the quotes, the passages that are sitting, bouncing around in my mind, they're kind of clues. They're clues as to what comes next, or what is this thing all about. And, having a little walk like this, getting out into nature gives me that opportunity to piece together those clues, put them back in a piece that might not be a perfect jigsaw puzzle or a perfect picture, but it's a picture nonetheless. We talk about modern art and how abstract it can be. Life can be quite abstract as well. So I don't really have any answers. I don't have any big tie-up or anything like that. Just that I love this. I love being able to do this. Look at that little bumblebee. Can you see him under there? There he is. There he goes. Off he goes. Lots of those around at the moment. I don't have a big takeaway or anything like that. Just I'm so lucky to have this, to have what I have, to have you listening in. If you have any thoughts, any questions, any suggestions, please just reach out. You can do that via popping a comment on the YouTube. If you're listening via the podcast, you can send me a text. It's up there right at the top of the episode. Or you can just go to thestorypilgrim.com and read my blog. That'd be really good. I keep talking about that. Probably nobody's listening by the end of this episode. It'd be great to hear from you. Great to have some suggestions of walks and stuff. That'd be really cool. All right. Keep listening, and buen camino. And that's it. We've looped back to the start. Well, not exactly the start, but to something close to it. Home. If you've made it this far, then thank you. You've just spent a chunk of your day listening to me walk around Sussex, quoting ancient Greeks and cartoon bears. It's not for nothing, though. I always say that the Story Pilgrim is about asking the big questions, but truthfully, it's just about me trying to work things out as I go, figuring it out loud, on my feet. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for sticking right to the end, through all the mess, the occasional hiccup with tech. Look, if something in this episode did sort of stir something up, it made you smile, it gave you a little pause, don't keep it to yourself. Please share it with a friend. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and in that sharing we can make the Story Pilgrim reach out a little bit further. Someone who might like to hear life from a different perspective. There's nothing tidy about it. There's no profoundness. It's not dramatic in any way. Just share it. Thanks for walking with me. The Story Pilgrim was walked, talked, written, recorded, edited, produced, directed by me, Darren Hill. Anya Backer, as always, supplied the amazing, wonderful music on Sean the Harp. For more of us, please check out the rest of the videos on the channel. Go to my website, www.thestorypilgrim.com. Oh dear, it just gets worse. It's been a very tiring week. I'll leave it at that, shall I? Until the next time, buen camino, and keep listening.